So I decided to finally make a Warframe tier list and actually talk about my opinion on Warframe and like actually upload and share it. I don't think anyone's gonna watch this, but if they do, that'd be cool. So yeah, this is my tier list. As you're seeing it, I'm not going. It's just gonna be uncut, just one take. So if you hear me like changing my audio levels or something, just know that's just me naturally talking and just letting it rip and then putting audio like music under it. But yeah, so I don't know. My criteria is actually very similar to Brosime. You should compare Warframes. Warframe's generally is a pretty easy game, and I'm biased. Those are like the three things. Like going into each one, Warframe's easy. You can probably run about every frame, including the ones I think aren't really playable, like Loki, Banshee, Limbo, and Oberon, and Steel Path, and do decently well. You can farm arbitrations with them and be fine. Like you can run any Warframe and all of the content we have. Warframe's not supposed to be a hard game with incredibly deep mechanical executions and a high skill ceiling, and meant to be this game that you spend thousands of hours just mastering the movement and the gunplay and like just doing all these things at the highest level in order to get through a challenge. It's not fun for most people, and it's not what the game is made for. If you want those sorts of experiences, just go play League or something. Like that's not what we're here for. So anyone who like goes AWOL and says you're not allowed to enjoy something that's suboptimal, I'm not saying they're wrong. Like yeah, you can, but like it's not, you should, the be all end all of Warframe is not the highest number, the highest like kills per minute. It's not like that. Another one is I think we should compare Warframes. I know that's counterintuitive to me saying you can play whatever you want and generally most things are viable. Like look at my tier list. I have 3 Bs, 2 A's, and 1 S, and then 2 things that I think just aren't really playable at all. And there's 6 frames in those 2 things that aren't really playable. Like, I'm not saying you should compare Warframes and then just get rid of all the font and variants and all the cool things in Warframe. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that at the end of the day, if you are doing Eidolons, you have to compare Volt to Gauss to Chroma to Mag, and recognize, yeah, I'm not gonna run Mag into an Eidolon where her 2 doesn't work, her 3 doesn't work, her 1 does nothing, and her 4 does nothing. That's not like, you wouldn't do that, and we all have to admit that's not something you would do with Mag. So I'm not rating all Warframes on all content that they're in the game. I'm rating Warframes by how much can they do in that content. A good example is Octavia is amazing in Temporal Archimedia because her 1 and 2 can carry damage with bad guns. She's amazing in Seal Endless missions because her 1 and 2 can do damage to level cap because they scale off enemy damage. Octavia can survive any sort of situation because she has Invis. She can buff everyone decently well. She doesn't have a weakness. That's why she's the top of S tier, right? And so every frame that has Invis has to be compared on those metrics to Octavia. And as you can tell by Octavia being, in my opinion, the best frame in the game, she's just not being competed with like hardly at all. So that's what I mean when I say we compare. And it's also a matter of opportunity cost of you have 1 Warframe slot, 1 primary, 1 secondary, 1 melee, etc. You only have 1 of each of these things. So you have to pick the one that works the best together in order to get the outcome. And if you do have randomized here, you obviously are praying to get Octavia over Limbo in an Elite Archimedia or a Temporal Archimedia. So I'm just saying, when we compare Warframes, I'm not saying Excalibur is strictly better at melee, and that means that Wukong is worthless. I'm saying Excalibur is strictly better at melee, and the things that Wukong does besides melee compared to Excalibur aren't as valuable as the things that Excalibur can do that don't compare to Wukong. A great example of a frame that does a bunch of things on my tier list that I rate relatively low is Nyx. Nyx is CC, her gunzerking is decent with her passive, she can prime enemies with her 3, she has quite a bit of flexibility with helmeting certain things and using augments in certain ways and do certain synergies, right? What I am saying is that Nyx across all the boards has flaws. She doesn't do gunzerking nearly as well as the frames in A or higher. She doesn't do CC nearly as well as the frames in A or higher. CC is generally less valuable, which Nyx excels in relatively, right? The things she does aren't nearly as valuable as frames above her, and I want you to look at my tier list less as S tier is like broken, A plus is good, like, and everything in B is bad. It's like, no, you can run everything in B. It'll just be suboptimal, but you might enjoy that you might not care that it's suboptimal because you enjoy playing them, which means you have a more optimized build because you spent more time playing with them. Like, here's where the bias kicks in. my top 5 frames are literally Octavia, Kalervo, Harrow, Koumei, and Saren in that order, and they're all in A or higher because I've optimized their builds and made them good, and I played a lot with them, so I'm willing to sit in Simulacrum for an extra 4 hours maximizing them. I have 20 form on my Kalervo, for fuck's sake, and he hasn't even been out for a year. Actually, no, he has. Oh, I'm old, sorry. But you get what I'm saying, where you might like Valkyr so much that you're willing to spend so much more time and invest on Warframe into her to make her good. And I'm saying I don't have 5 Umbral Forma invested into Valkyr like quite shallow did back in the day for a meme in order to make Valkyr good. That's what I'm saying. And everyone's biased. So some people are biased towards Side 09, and some people like me are biased against Side 09, so they rate him lower. And I'm not. I don't want you to take my opinion on any Warframe as I am the arbiter of existence, and I'm LR4, so I know better than everyone of a master rank below me, and I have 5,700 hours in this game in 7 years. I've played this game so much more extensively than you, and I read every patch note from beginning to end. I'm so much better. Like, no, that's not what I'm fucking saying. I'm saying these are my credentials of what I think about the game, how much I played the game, how much I care about the game, and I want you to keep that in mind, that I'm biased just the same. I don't like most of the frames in B+ or lower. I wouldn't play them most of the time over the frames in A. And I want to make it clear when I have a bias towards or against a frame. And I want to make it clear what my perspective is. I don't want to show every single build and talk about them for 20 minutes because I don't want a 4-hour video. I want to keep this like under 30 minutes if I can. And I've just spent 6 minutes explaining my criteria and baseline things, even though my last couple takes of this, I was literally through S tier already expanding on them by 8 minutes. So I'm already behind schedule, right? But I think it's really important to go in depth on my criteria and my thought process because it's going to come up again throughout the tier list, and it's also going to come up specifically in S because I think it's really important to head off a couple of really illogical arguments that frankly bother me when it comes to reviewing Warframes and tier listing or discussing them or their builds. So like the first one is Octavia. I think if you don't think Octavia is the best frame in the game, that's fine, but if you don't think she's in the top 5, you're delusional. Octavia can literally AFK to level cap with minimal inputs compared to every other frame of the game. Even if you took her invis away, her team-wide invis, which is literally one of the strongest buffs in the entire game, she would still get armor, so she could give more armor than all of Oberon, which is why he's in massive changes. He's terrible, while giving multi-shot melee damage. And then his 1 and 2 could kill things, and you could hide out of the map to get those things, and you could literally run parkour's velocity to outrun. So, point is, Octavia's busted. She's my pick for the strongest frame in the game. She's literally been good throughout her entire existence, never dropped below top 5. It's insane. She competed with Warframe before enemy scaling got adjusted. She's competed with Warframe after weapons got stronger. She competed with every frame ever, and she's eclipsed every invis frame. Everyone is worse than Octavia, bar none. I'm biased. She's my favorite frame. Revenant. A lot of people. So, Revenant is obvious. Brozyme give him his only S, I think, for this year, which means Revenant is doing something with this too that's completely illegal. How is this? Revenant can't die hardly at all, and his 2 augment makes it so no one can die for a bit, and if he spams it with Nourish, no one can die at all. And I'd also like to add that Revenant is a frame that has Reeve and viral priming in order to kill things to infinite levels. My actual criteria for a frame being an S was these are my 4 that I picked for a level 1 trillion survival. And basically, so far we've got Octavia making her run invis, Revenant giving Nourish so everyone has infinite energy and using his 2. Then we've got Koumei, who uses her decrees to build up a 500% roar, and she's the best weapons platform, so if things are immune to abilities for some reason, Koumei could hit them with guns, and she uses all of the weapons the best out of all of them. And then we've got Zaku, who uses his 3 to reduce all the things, his 2 scales with enemy level, and then his 1 can be replaced with Priest Charge to multiply all the damage from everyone else in the squad and slightly CC everything. And I'm just sitting here thinking these are the 4 that I do. Even if they cannibalize each other in certain situations, the overall damage output and coordination between these 4 would be the highest you could reach, and I think you could take on something unimaginably difficult like a level 1 trillion survival with these 4. There's a lot of wiggle room, specifically around Zaku, where it's like, well, you could do this with other frames. So like, that's fair. These are my 4 that I'd say were like the 4 most synergistic frames with the best helmet with my builds. and I'm biased. All of these frames are some of my favorite except Revenant. I fucking hate Revenant, but he's still up here. He's just objectively that strong. Some criticism that actually bothers me, and why I alluded to it earlier before I talked about them, is specifically around Revenant and Koumei. People compare Revenant to old Wukong. Old Wukong, for reference, did not have a 1, he had no passive, he did not have a 2, and his 4 was ass. And it's strictly worse than Excalibur. And yet people compare Revenant with his 1 and 3 synergy with viral priming and the fact that helmet and weapons exist, as if not dying is somehow just this non-valuable thing. Not dying is valuable because you have a gun. Not dying is valuable because you need to not die in order to complete the objective. If everyone dies, you lose, and you need to be able to revive people. Being an anchor is valuable. I think a lot of people misunderstand this. It's not that not dying isn't valuable. It's that not dying is less important than killing things, because you need to be able to kill things and not die. And if one person cannot die and make sure that no one else can die, that's a big deal, right? And I don't know, it's just really interesting, because it's really infuriating. Not interesting, infuriating. When people act like we are comparing something that's objectively terrible, that did not work at the time, was completely outscaled by enemies, and just had no ceiling, to something like Revenant with all these new tools and all these new systems and all these amazing things to prop him up and facilitate him. And acting like Revenant isn't good because old Wukong wasn't good, and it's like, that's not how that works. You can't just say old Wukong was bad for the same reason that Revenant is good, and it's like, no. Sorry, that's not how that works. The game is just completely different. If you don't understand that, you're an idiot. I'm going to be very blunt about that. I don't like that comparison. Another one I don't like is Koumei, and the example I've written here is, yeah, if we remove every gun from Mirage, she gets a lot worse. Yeah, if we remove every secondary from Ureli, she's terrible. Yeah, if Mesa doesn't have Peacemaker, she's bad. It's like, yeah, it's really disingenuous and really unfair to say Koumei is good because she uses the turret better than every other weapon or every other frame in the game. And it's like, yeah, a shocking fact. Weapons platforms use weapons well and facilitate them and enable them, and the turret's the best primary in the game. Arguably, top 3 almost certainly. And it's like, it's not fair to say that because Koumei uses a weapon as a weapons platform, she's bad, because it's not her being good as the turret. This is an argument I heard on release. I thought Koumei was in S tier for the exact same reason she is right now. And when she came out, I've always liked Koumei. She's literally my 4th favorite frame. But yeah, like, it's just super disingenuous to say Koumei's not good because she's carried by her decrees. It's like, well, yeah, she's the only way to use decrees in a vanilla game. It's just super disingenuous, super unfair, super, like, just unreal that people are, like, saying a Warframe uses a tool well, so it's not them good, it's the tool. It's like them being good, it's the tool, and it's really stupid. It's really infuriating. I'm sorry, I just don't like these arguments. They're really stupid. Like, imagine like, people argue Excalibur's not good, Influence is good. And it's like, yeah, Influence is really good, but Excalibur uses Influence better than every other. All of the pseudo-exalted terms that just got buffed in Tekrod Encore, which is why he's an A, by the way. And it's like, yeah, that's how it is. Rapid Fire A+, Nej is there because of his 3 and 4 augment, along with he's really good as a carry frame with a good weapon, as well as being defensively skewed, which is insane. A Warframe with that much flexibility has to be good. In fact, I love him. He's really good. He's not even in my top 9 most played frames or my favorites. I don't even like Nej that much, but he's really good, objectively so. Harrow. My build for Harrow is negative range, high duration, high strength. I'm a crack addict that plays Harrow like a selfish solo carry, and if people are hugging me, they get my buffs. I don't care. Play Harrow like he has immortality forever, infinite, insane gunzerking, lifesteal, infinite shield gating, and then infinite energy, and you just realize you can do anything on Harrow, and it's good. You can run any weapon, any amount of, like, anything, any focus school, any companion. He's just good. I'm sorry, I love Harrow. I think people don't actually understand how he works. They don't play him enough, or they think that he needs to be a support when he just doesn't. He can be selfish, and it's good. Wisp is obvious. Motes, passive, invisibility, amazing frame, +4 augment now, stupid damage, whatever. Like, Wisp is just objectively broken. I can't. There's no debate here. It's just everyone knows shock mode, haste mode, health mode, insane. Can't die. Everything's CC'd for a little bit on a, like, non-cooldown, priming everything. And you give everyone a mini Gauss battery. It's stupid. Yeah, this is where I think it's important. Every frame above this, I've listed what they can do for supportive and their utility, and what they can do for themselves and allies. Sevagoth and Saren are purely selfish. Sevagoth is so good at being selfish, in fact, that he is somehow an A+, even though I think being selfish in this game is worthless. I think supports in this game are objectively overpowered because they make themselves strong and then make everyone else equally as strong. Sevagoth doesn't do that. Sevagoth is selfish. Sevagoth just says, I'm going to kill everything on the map repeatedly until nothing can happen, until no one can die, which is really good as a carry frame. Saren is actually an example of being selfish, but on a longer time scale. Saren was good before, and she was literally like top 3 Warframes before ESO, good during ESO, her heyday, and then good after ESO, and she's been good, and now she's a weapons platform who uses her 1 augment to give corrosive to everyone. So Saren has gone from meta to meta to meta to meta, and I'm just like, alright, well, we have to keep her at least an A+, because you can't argue that Saren is bad at anything. Saren is really good at everything. In fact, she's maybe best in slot in certain activities, which is crazy. Protea, really good shield gating, infinite energy on a dispensary with coordinated play. It's amazing. She's one of the best roar users in the game because of her passive. I don't think you can argue Protea is any lower than A+. I think she's objectively one of the strongest frames in the game because of those things. No other frame can do all of those things at once and do them as well as Protea. Like, it is really hard to kill. Die in a squad with Protea, giving energy and shields to everyone while giving a really strong roar, and then her 2 is solid, adding damage in case her guns suck, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. And then she has a synergy with secondary fortifier with her heat inherit on her turrets, and you realize this is just really good frame, really strong, with or without equipment. Dante, Infinite Overguard, Noctua got buffed. Noctua is really good. His buffs are all really strong. I'm just going to have Frost, best defense frame. His 3 can absorb damage. To add to its pool, it scales really well off strength, armor, and the like. He can 4 to CC everything, which he's probably the best CC frame on this list right now. Really good. His 4 is solid. He can prime enemies. He can just do a bunch of things. He can give Overguard. There's not really a weakness to Frost. I'm biased. All of these frames are some of my favorites. They're all in my top 20. It's not close. I love them. So, A is where it gets a bit questionable. A is where I'm like, okay, these are the frames that I think are actually best in slot for specific activities. Lavos, with his augment, can walk through exterminates incredibly efficiency with something like the Alku Core of the Phantasma. Kalervo is really good with melee influence and the best melee frame. Nova can do Slova and Speedva to do things that no other support can. Zephyr can molt damage out the ass with her tornadoes. Chroma, with the energy tank builder, use Arcane Battery, 100 Adrenaline, and Rage at the same time. With Nourish, can have so much EHP that he cannot die to anything. You can literally AFK through the entire the entire code of boss fight. With Chroma, it's stupid, very strong. I cannot stress enough how strong this build is. Titania is very obvious. She's the fastest Warframe. If you can control it and manage it, you can go faster than anything else in the game. Now that she has Encumber or Enervate or Fortifier, she has so many of her problems solved. She has so much more flexibility, really good frame. Honestly, best day she's ever been in, and she's actually kind of good. I hate to say it, I don't fucking like Titania. I've never played this frame in my life. She's actually good. Her DPS is solid, and if we do ever add something like Exploiter Roar, because I want to remind people, when Exploiter came out, we were having trouble shooting the weak points because they move so much and they were so far and high, and their damage fall off. Titania can do those things, and Titania can still do those things, and Titania in the future can do those things, which is valuable and interesting, and a niche she has, and honestly, going fast is valuable if you're the best at it. That's it. Like, speed is only valuable if you're the best at it, and very little else. It's very diminishing returns, which is why Wukong is in B-, which I'll get into. Excalibur got influence. Obvious if you don't understand. The only weakness Excalibur has is dying fast. There are so many support frames above him on this tier list that can prevent him from dying and solve all those problems. Citrine has the niche of being the best health scaler. If you use Citrine with Wisp, you could theoretically have the most EHP for health tanking in the game, so Citrine is obviously really good. Science gives the energy, shield, and overguard, but it has no damage, but it's fine because you can make it so no one can fuck off. Korra, Loot Molt, and defensive capabilities with Whip Claw doing significant damage, and now that she doesn't have to use Pseudo Exalted, she's a bit better, a bit worse, depends on how you look at it. Now that she can't use Pseudo Exalt. B plus is everything in B. B plus, B minus is they have flaws. So Cyto 9's flaw is time to kill and coverage and flexibility. Cyto 9's not really good at anything besides endurance things, where his invis is super valuable. He's not super fast compared to a lot of other frames in time to kill. He has to trade off, he has to choose between using his 4 and using his ammo packs versus efficiency and ease of use versus guns, and it's just a lot of trade-offs to get him to optimal. Another reason I'm really critical of Cyto 9 is because people glazed him even though he got like a care package of primary acuity, arcane crepuscular, like all of these invisibility skewed mods that only benefit him really, and Octavia for some reason, which I don't know why we did, but we did that. And Temple is much the same, where he got arcane hotshot and like the weaponry, the exalted weaponry rework benefited him a lot because he just came out. Same with Cyto 9, where it's like, are these frames really that good, or did they just get a care package of key tools that really benefit them specifically over other frames and advantage them? It's like, they're good frames, but I'm really questionable on if Koumei would have been as critically received if she, as critically assessed, if she had started with her best in slot arcane, which is the ability strength and efficiency for each unique status effect up to 13x. So that's why they're there. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Mesa, really strong, really good after the exalted changes, but Mesa has problems specifically around, like, just around survivability and how linear she is. She needs outside, like Cyto 9 to kill things, which is, yeah, pretty strong. Gyre is just a weapons platform, relatively squishy. Mag is relatively squishy. Nyx doesn't have like a super dominant niche over CC, doesn't have a super dominant niche over radiation priming, doesn't have a super dominant niche over anything really, and AI generation is really finicky. It's just Nyx doesn't dominate any particular category. Bolt is really good at Eidolons and nuking, but like not best in slot in either, so Savagoth beats him out nuking pretty goddamn hard. And when it comes to Eidolons, there are a lot of frames that can do Eidolons now because they're power crept shit. And besides that, his summoner build is good, but I'm not gonna say it's the best build in the game. It's definitely not. It's very gimmicky, it requires setup time, can fail. It's not perfect, right? Jade, very good damage, very good supporting, nowhere near as good as any of the frames above her. This is where we start reaching the tier where I don't have anything particularly valuable or insightful to say. I can just basically run down saying Jade isn't as good of a support frame with shields as Protea. Energy buffing, ability strength buffing is not super valuable, and weapon amping is it's valuable, but not like the most important thing in the entire world. Alpha is alright. Yeah, Jade's good, she's just not amazing. She has flaws, right? Every frame in B plus and below has flaws. There are a couple I want to highlight, even though I think you can infer from how I've described every frame in B plus and higher roughly how I'm gonna say. Mirage has a low ceiling, she's super linear. Garuda is super slow with setup time. She can do the highest things in the entire world and do infinite damage, but she takes forever to get there. Wukong is fast and controllable with his 2, and with multi super fast, super controllable. But you're playing Wukong, and once you get last gasp, his passive is worthless, and just worth nothing. And then his 4 is strictly worse than all of the exalteds above him. Ivara is strictly worse than Cyto 9 because Cyto 9 does all the things Ivara would do almost better, because you can shoot through walls. Ivara can't, and that's a pretty big deal for frames like them who do very linear, very high damage. Ureli, very uncontrollable until you get rid of Marilena, and by that point it's like, alright, we're playing Ureli, which is good, but it's secondary buffing, and it's like, she's not bad, she's really good, she's just not exceptional in anything, right? Gauss is the same thing. He gives ammo economy problems to weapons, which is fine, but like having bad ammo economy is a problem for everyone always. Varuna is slow, Bobbin is CC. Like, you can kind of guess what I'm gonna say about all of them. Hydrate is a lot worse after the armor changes, and Dagath is clunky and slow, and her passive sucks, and her base set sucks. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like Dagath. I'm very biased against Dagath. She's one of my least favorite frames in the entire game. Some people see the 70k viral damage and think really good frame. I think, wow, that is a really poorly designed frame with stupid numbers to make her viable. That's just me though. If you think Dagath is like really good, that's fine. Show me a build. If the build is something I've already tried, I'm gonna just ignore it. I've tried a lot of builds on Dagath and I could not find one I liked. I've tried every frame, by the way. I've built them all. I have over 5 armor in every frame. I do not like, and these are my findings after trying every build and having 5 arsenal slots with every helmet on them. I could not. These are my opinions. Eldrin and Anaras are stat sticks. Loki, his invis is good, but his CC is terrible. Banshee uses Cyto 9 because she cannot keep air in her lungs normally, and her silence is better used on Ash, so it's like, why are we playing Banshee? Limbo is not allowed to play the game, and Oberon requires him to use his 3, then step on grass, then he is worse at radiation priming than Nyx, and then he's straight up worse at healing than Trinity and Jade, while having less health origin than Neja, who's not even doing, who I didn't even mention it, he can do it because it's not relevant to him being strong. And it's just a question of, and then you realize Panzer Phyla creates more health orbs than him. It's like, why are we playing fucking Oberon? Let's be super honest when Citrine is better at it as well. And it's like, okay, why are we playing Oberon when he gets armor instead of DR? It's just bad. I want Oberon to get rework. I think I covered all of the noteworthy frames. There is going to be a lot of debate about certain one of these, I'm sure. Some people are going to question why this frame, why that frame. And my ultimate answer for most of them is, I'm biased. I think that I've tried every frame. I've tried every build. I've tried a lot of things on every frame. These are my findings. These are what I think are like. This is my opinion. I value things differently than most Warframe players. For example, I like Koumei. I like Koumei before her augment. I like Koumei after her augment. I think she's a good gambling frame. Although I also hate when I get bad luck, but that's whatever. Yeah, I am aware some like last minute additions. I am aware of the Gara nuking build that Brozyme shells. I am aware of Grendel's for augment being really strong. I'm aware of all of the augments in these builds. I'm aware of a lot of them. I'm aware of the weird synergies and the niche things that they can do. I either don't value them that highly, I think they're suboptimal, or I'm just not willing to, or I don't like them because I think that they're trading something or they have pretty crippling weaknesses. A great example is Temple. Temple is pretty squishy no matter what you do, and even when you do start fix his survivability problems, he has a hard ceiling. And if you do things that circumvent his hard ceiling of survivability, then you've entered a specific playstyle that every frame has, which is shield gating, and it's not particularly fun for most people, or even some people. I hate shield gating personally, but that's a good example. But yeah, that's my tier list. I hope it was interesting and insightful. That's it. Leave a comment if you agree. Leave a comment if you disagree. And if you have anything nice to say, that'd be dope. But yeah, have a good day.